Going to bring you some breaking news story. It's an extraordinary defence story here that involves two British warplanes and a Russian plane, and it really does bring back memories of the Cold War. Our defence correspondent Geoff Meade's here to tell us all about it. Strange story, and one with quite serious overtones.
It's quite something for Cold War nostalgists, because the RAF have just released pictures this happened last week, of two of their new Typhoon Eurofighters scrambling into action. And there you see one of those pictures for the first time, to have a look at that interesting and larger aircraft on the top of the screen. Now that's what NATO call, they codename it's the Bear. It's the Tupolev 95, and it is a 30-year-old Russian bomber and surveillance plane. What was it doing in the North Atlantic? It was probing Britain's air defences in just the way...
That's the Russian Bear at the bottom of the screen.
Right, yes.
That's one of the two RAF Typhoons,
yes.
The smaller plane above it.
Yeah,
yep.
they were scrambled from RAF Coningsby. Now, they only took over about a month ago what the RAF call Quick Reaction Alert, which is basically to defend southern Britain against any kind of threat. And this is the first time they've actually had to scramble for real. Everything else has been a drill. They got this signal, potential hostile aircraft heading towards the UK in the North Atlantic. They used their phenomenal power to get airborne very quickly, and basically went to have a look at the Russian Bear. As you can see, they're pretty close there. They're only a matter of hundreds of metres apart.
Can we assume that one of the Typhoons is taking this picture of the other two aircraft, the Russian and the second?
That's right, yes. You only see one of the Typhoons.
So we're talking hundreds of yards apart at the most?
I would think so, yes. It's difficult to get a scale on that, but judging by the size of the aircraft, yes, it's, they're within a quarter of a mile.
Are the MOD reading anything into this? I mean, do they think it's a Russian aircraft that's gone off course, or do they think it's someone testing out our air defences?
They're being extraordinarily cagey and uninformative about this, Jeremy, I have to say. And there was a great debate, I'm told, within the MOD about even whether these pictures should be released, because they were worried about the sensitivity. Do we want to upset the Kremlin? Russia has a lot of oil and gas, which Britain is going to need in the future. The climate of the times, is this a bit more, bare chest beating by President Putin? He said only last week that he would reinitiate this system of having nuclear-armed Russian bombers on air patrol round the clock. Now, we don't think this Tupolev the Bear would have been carrying Russian nuclear weapons. It's an airborne reconnaissance aircraft, and it's doing its job. It's long range. It's probing air defences. But it does. I think the significance is that it takes us right back to those dark days of the 60s and 70s, where this sort of thing happened, every week or so. We haven't seen it before.
Where do we think it took place? Are they being precise or carefully imprecise?
Very imprecise. They're just saying somewhere over the North Atlantic. It didn't enter British airspace, but it was on a heading which categorised it as a potential threat. So it was heading our way, but it turned back once the two Typhoons intervened.
But as you say, the very fact that the government or the MOD has decided to publish, we should probably read a lot into that, shouldn't we?
I think we should read two things. One is how controversial Eurofighter Typhoon has been, 45-60 million pounds per aircraft. A lot of people fighting in Basra and Afghanistan begrudge that sort of money. I think this is the RAF saying, well, actually, look, the aircraft now is on combat alert. It is doing it's earning its keep finally, and I think the pro-Typhoon lobby will have been behind this to show that it actually is defending.
Oh, you see, so it's a bit of a sales pitch, then, is it?
Very much so.
But I mean,
all about money.
In the current diplomatic climate backdrop, with all that's been going on and the tensions that clearly are, this is quite a statement, really, isn't it? They could have buried it. I
think it's a statement from the Russians to say, we're in business, we can do this, don't underestimate it. And I think it's the counter from the RAF is to say, well, if you're going to come snooping around, if you're going to start testing the air defences of Britain, then we are ready for you, and we can intercept at very short notice. Those very expensive warplanes are doing the job that the taxpayer is paying them for.
As a matter of interest, I mean, these are still pictures. Do we think that Typhoons would be equipped with video? I mean, could we possibly see moving pictures afterwards?
Do have. They've got extraordinarily sophisticated communications and surveillance systems. Most of them will have in-cockpit video of some form. Whether we see that, I suspect this is a compromise from the MOD. They've released this, but they may not want to go too much further down that road for fear of seeming to tweak the bear's tail.
I think they might have already done it, don't you, Geoff? Meade, thank you very much for bringing us that extraordinary story, revisiting the Cold War there.